So, chat, as you guys know, I've been talking quite a bit about the lawsuits that have been happening with Ethan Klein. He's been suing a lot of people for defamation or, copyright infringement, stuff like that. And I've been very vocally against these lawsuits. And I've been a little bit confused as well, because there's a lot of people who are sort of in the YouTube commentary space that in the past, when the subject of lawsuits came up, their thought process was always, let's not resort to lawsuits. Let's not ruin people financially because of a disagreement or whatever the case may be. If somebody speaks negatively about you in a YouTube video, respond with your own YouTube video. That's always been the way. So when a lot of these like Ethan Klein lawsuits were coming up, that's kind of the response I expected a lot of these YouTube commentators to have. And surprisingly, that's not the response a lot of them had. In fact, a lot of them seem to be cheering Ethan on in his lawsuits. And I just did not agree with that, because I don't feel that that's the way we should be doing things. We shouldn't be encouraging people to use vast amounts of wealth to silence their critics. And I much prefer the old way of doing things where, hey, if somebody has something to say about you, if they do an opinion piece on you in the YouTube space in the form of a video, you should respond with a video, either defending yourself or combating their claims, whatever the case may be. That was always the way we've done it in the past, and I think that that's the way we should continue to do it. So I was very much in disagreement of this whole let's cheer on Ethan Klein with his lawsuits and stuff. But anyway, I want to switch over to this video here. This is actually an older video, and I didn't cover it on the channel because at the time I wasn't really doing coverage of, news topics or stuff like that at the time. But as I get back into it, I'm going to be recapping some of the stuff that I missed out on. This was a video that was put out back in May by the YouTuber Noah Samsen, where he discussed the fact that a year prior he had put out a video called YouTubers That Supported a Genocide or something like that. And one of the people he talks about in the video is the YouTuber Ethan Klein. There's been a lot of conflict between Ethan Klein and Hassan's community in regards to discussions related to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now, you guys know where I stand on the conflict. I am very pro-Palestine. I want to see, I would love to see within my lifetime the freedom of the Palestinian people. That's what I would like to see. I don't know if we'll ever see that, especially the way things are going, but in my lifetime, I would love to see that happen. But Ethan, while on one end he says and claims that he's like pro-Palestine, it seems like he plays defense for Israel a lot. And a lot of people have taken issue with that. And so one of the people that took issue with that was obviously the creator, Noah Samsen. And he did a video kind of expressing his opinions. And rather than combating those opinions on his podcasts, which is what I said, that's what creators have done over the years in the past with situations like this, he decided he was going to try and silence the criticism with a lawsuit. So this video that we're about to watch, it's a couple months old at this point. This was Noah Samsen's announcement that he was being sued by Ethan Klein. Ethan waited literally till the last minute before the statute of limitations to file the lawsuit. I think it was like 2 days before the statute of limitations was about to end. He decided to file the lawsuit, and this was Noah Samsen's announcement. So let's go ahead and take a look.
It's official. It's happening. I am getting sued by Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, millionaire and host of the...
Hey Void, how's it going? Good to see you. I saw you in Cammy's chat. Welcome to my chat. I hope you're doing well.
H3 podcast has sued me for defamation. Here's the complaint. It's 31 pages, and I'm getting sued. About a year ago, I released this video, the YouTubers who backed the genocide. And in response, Ethan Klein immediately...
Yeah, also, like, apparently at one point, Mudahar, Some Ordinary Gamer, said that he was going to sue as well. Like, he was going to piggyback off of, like, Ethan's lawsuit. And then he just, like, backed out. And I'm not really sure why.
And threatening to sue me. Then, a year later, just 2 days before...
You know, Mudahar, the fake engineer. The guy who claimed to be an engineer for, like, many years. And then it was exposed that actually he's not an engineer. Yeah, that Mudahar.
Before the statute of limitations was up, Klein filed his lawsuit. In the complaint, Klein alleges that I defamed him by falsely painting him as a supporter of the genocide of Palestinians. The complaint presents 6 allegedly defamatory statements, including the title and thumbnail of my video, and it makes several claims related to statements made.
Yeah, at one point his lawyer claimed that he had photoshopped Ethan to make it look like he was doing a Nazi salute in the thumbnail, but like in reality, he just took like Ethan from his own content nuke video thumbnail and put it in his thumbnail. So it was like this dishonest misrepresentation of like, oh, he's making Ethan look like he's doing a Nazi salute. No, he literally just took a picture of you from your own thumbnail and put it in his. Like, that's ridiculous. That's how dishonest like Ethan is with these lawsuits.
About Israel, Palestine, atrocity propaganda, Nakba denialism, misinformation, and more. There's a lot of stuff in this thing. It's 31 pages. For now, all I can say about the lawsuit itself is that I think Ethan's claims are meritless and I intend to defend against them. But to do this, I need your help. A full-length defamation trial can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
see, that's like the scary thing about this, right? This is why for the longest time, people in the YouTube community have been so outspoken against lawsuits, because what happens is you have large creators with vast amounts of wealth, like Ethan Klein. The guy's literally a millionaire, okay? Using their wealth against creators who have significantly less resources available to them to defend themselves. And it results in people kind of trying to like silence them through their vast wealth, essentially. Yeah, that's essentially like what happens here is we have a lot of content creators, big content creators that can use their vast amount of wealth to silence critics.
I don't have that. So I started a GoFundMe. It's linked in the description in the pinned comment. You can also find it by searching Klein v. Samsen on the internet. I set the goal at $200,000, but any funds we raise above this goal will be donated immediately to Palestinian aid. And any money that goes unused,
which anybody who was hoping that the money would go to a charity, you guys are going to be really happy with the news that we hear in a second here. Because although we're reacting to like an old video where he's announcing the lawsuit, we got some good news in regards to the lawsuit. Actually got it yesterday. We got the news. But obviously I streamed today, so that's why we're covering it today. But yeah, good news in regards to that.
Used or is recuperated once legal proceedings conclude will also be donated. Last year, around the time of Ethan's initial lawsuit threats, we did a fundraiser for UNRWA, an organization that provides aid to Palestinian refugees, and we raised over $500,000. So it would be cool if we could do something like that again. I'll be hosting a fundraising live stream this Friday, May 22nd, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's a marathon stream, so it will go for 4.
So you guys get the point. We don't have to watch this whole video. Essentially, he had announced back in May. What's the actual date of this video? The actual date of this video was May 20th is when he announced basically that he was being sued. And I believe this is the link to the actual GoFundMe. Let's take a look at that. They were able to successfully raise over $120,000. So not quite the $200,000 goal he was trying to reach, but pretty damn close. Like that's a lot of cheddar there he was able to raise for sure, for his legal funds. So, good news for him that so many people supported him. He actually had a little bit of a war chest that he can use to fight this thing in court and hopefully, prevail in a courtroom. But it turns out that might not actually need to happen, or I should say that doesn't need to happen now, because I woke up yesterday to this news. Ethan Klein's defamation lawsuit against Noah Samsen has been dismissed with prejudice. It is his second unsuccessful lawsuit after losing to Denims. Now, what exactly happened here? The interesting thing about it is it wasn't that the courts had ruled that they were dismissing this case. Like, because this happens a lot with defamation cases. There's a large amount of defamation cases that people will file them and they'll get dismissed by the courts because it's really hard to prove defamation to begin with. But that's not what happened here. What actually happened here is that Ethan's attorneys, on behalf of Ethan, they filed for this to be dismissed. And they filed for it not just to be dismissed, but to be dismissed with prejudice. Now, I'm no lawyer or anything like that, but I have seen a lot of people who are more knowledgeable in the legal sphere than I have cover this. And if you don't know what it means to dismiss something with prejudice, what it means is that Ethan, once this gets dismissed, cannot refile, a lawsuit related to these claims again. So it's basically like it's a done deal at this point. That's essentially what that means. So obviously, Noah Samsen put out a video sharing this update with us, and let's go ahead and let's go over it. Let's see what he has to say.
I've got a big lawsuit update for you. It's over. Ethan Klein
What? YouTube? Could you not do that?
has dropped his
Okay, that was
defamation lawsuit against me. He filed a motion to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning that he cannot sue me for the claim.
So again, this was filed by Ethan and his attorneys themselves. This was not a decision made by the court. This is not the court looking at this and saying, okay, this seems like a frivolous lawsuit, we're going to throw this out. This is Ethan and his attorneys themselves filing for this to be dismissed. And Ethan at the time of this stream, has not publicly stated what the reason behind this decision was in the first place. So we don't know the reasoning yet. I'm hoping this gets discussed on the next H3 podcast and we can kind of go over it. I have my theories though. I'd like to speculate a bit. So obviously not too long ago, we covered the lawsuit between Denims and Ethan Klein. This was a copyright lawsuit. And I kind of gave my thoughts on his copyright lawsuits, etc., etc. But he lost that lawsuit with Denims. And that one was decided in the courts. Like a judge actually decided in favor of Denims in regards to that one. So he's gotten a loss, like a proper loss. This isn't like with Casey Tron, where Casey Tron settled, and unfortunately she had to do that. What a lot of people are calling like an ISIS style video, where she had to apologize and basically say a bunch of positive things about Ethan and stuff like that. It very much felt like a hostage with a gun to their head type of video. It wasn't, one like that, or it's not like what appears to be happening with Frogan's case, where it's going into default judgment. She fought it in court and she won against Ethan. A judge ruled in her favor that her reaction to the content nuke was fair use. Then we had like the iDubbbz situation, where iDubbbz got a cease and desist sent to them by Ethan Klein. iDubbbz complied with the cease and desist. So normally when you get a cease and desist sent to you by someone and you comply with it, then it gets dropped at that point. It's over. They're not going to pursue legal action. They sent you a cease and desist. You complied, and it's done with. But Ethan decided to sue him anyway, and that got a very negative reaction from the YouTube community, to the point where even Moist Critical was doing a video critical. Moist Critical did a video critical of Ethan Klein. That's pretty funny. Did a video critical of Ethan Klein and this lawsuit situation, saying, hey, this is really fucked up. So Ethan got a lot of negative attention from the greater YouTube space as a result of that action, to the point where he started to try and find an out, and the out he came up with, well, if iDubbbz apologizes to me, then I'll drop the lawsuit. And so iDubbbz did that, and he gave what I thought was a very genuine apology. So Ethan dropped the lawsuit. But that kind of opened a lot of people's eyes to, wait, he's doing these weird copyright lawsuits, and he's suing Redditors on Reddit, and he's suing, Noah Samsen for defamation, and all these lawsuits are happening. And so a lot of people started to kind of look at that and be like, what's up with that? Maybe we need to pay more close attention to that. And he started getting a lot of negative, attention on him as a result of all these lawsuits. So I speculate that, between a lot of the negativity that people are looking at him, in regards to these lawsuits, the whole iDubbbz thing and the negativity that it got, I think at this point he's starting to see that he kind of dug a hole for himself, and he's trying to get himself out of it. And that's why this lawsuit's getting dismissed. I don't know that for sure. That's just speculation on my part, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think that's what's happening here. I think that's why this lawsuit got dismissed. Because, yeah, he realizes he kind of dug a hole for himself, and he's trying to dig himself out of it now.
Claims in this lawsuit ever again. It's over. We won. I mean, kind of. We didn't really win anything. In fact, I actually lost a bunch of time and money and peace of mind and all that. But I am no longer being sued. So I guess.
And that's the fucked up thing about this, right? Even though Noah Samsen doesn't have to deal with this lawsuit anymore, and good for him. Congratulations. This lawsuit never should have happened in the first place. Um, but there's still a whole lot of anxiety that comes with being sued. I have never been sued, but I've been threatened to be sued before by other people in like the creator space and stuff like that. And even if you're pretty sure the person who's making the threats isn't actually going to go through with them, that shit is scary and it's really anxiety inducing. So I can kind of understand what that feels like. And even more so when it's a situation where it's like, I can't afford these legal fees. I can't afford to defend myself in court. You're having to ask people from your community to support you and stuff like that. It's a lot. Okay. It's a very stressful situation. So yeah, sure, maybe he's not being sued anymore, but like all that stress that he had to go through to deal with this situation, all that anxiety, all this coming up with money that he didn't previously have before, like it's nuts to have to put someone through all that.
Will take it. This lawsuit and the legal threats leading up to it have been a massive year-long headache. I'm super glad that it's over. I can get back to just focusing on videos. And we also get to donate the money we raised for my legal defense, which
that's the positive part that I shared with you guys, is the fact that a large portion of the money that was raised is now going to get donated because he didn't have to use these for legal fees. He's going to donate it to a good cause now, which is great.
After subtracting the fees, should still be about $100,000. Unfortunately, right now, GoFundMe is holding the funds for review. We've given them...
If I had to guess, Ethan Klein supporters probably mass flagged the GoFundMe, and that's why they're holding the money for review, which is ridiculous. Like, as somebody who has been the target of Ethan Klein's community, Ethan Klein would lead you to believe that his community is like super positive and super friendly and like the nicest group of people out there. I gotta be honest, I've been the target of like YouTube drama communities before and a lot of really scummy people on the internet, but the most insane levels of toxicity and vitriol that I have ever faced in my entire time on the internet was Ethan's community. Like, just to kind of give you an idea, the mental health place that Ethan Klein's community put me in was probably one of the darkest places I've experienced in quite a few years. Close friends of mine, like Chasing Dopamine, my mod in the chat, will tell you that they were genuinely concerned about my well-being during that time that I was being attacked by Ethan and his community, because they are just the most toxic, vile community on the planet. In the online creator space. It is nuts. So if I had to guess, the whole GoFundMe being under review, that probably has a lot to do with mass reports from Ethan Klein's community.
All the information.
To be clear, not saying Ethan told them to do that. I'm not insinuating that. But just based on my own experiences with Ethan Klein's community, I would not be surprised if that's what happened there.
They need, and
that is so insane. I had no idea things like this happen in YouTube. Oh, the YouTube world is nuts. Like, it is insane how toxic that space could be. I know you've only gotten familiar with me recently, Void. But if you don't know my history, I used to be a part of the YouTube drama community. I used to be what's known as a commentary creator that covers internet drama. And basically, over the course of the past few years, I kind of got tired of that space. I started to realize how toxic it is. I realized how toxic of a person it made me. And I didn't want to be that person anymore. So I kind of like went through this, I guess you could say arc of personal growth, trying to work on myself and better myself as a person. And part of that was distancing myself from that community. And that got me in the crosshairs of that community. It's almost like a gang. You know how they say, like, once you join a gang, you can't get out? It's the same sort of thing with a lot of these like online spaces, especially these toxic online spaces. Like, once you're a part of it, if you try to leave, like, they're gonna bully the fuck out of you. And so I dealt with like a lot of that during this whole journey of like personal discovery and personal growth. And so I could kind of look at it from the perspective of like, I used to be a part of that, but also like now that I'm outside of it, I can kind of like look in with a bit more of a keen eye to like what's going on. Like, it's nuts. These communities are very toxic. The last time I knew about YouTube drama is it was between Tati and James Charles. Oh my god, that was pretty big drama for sure. Also, that drama rings a little bit different now because in the end of it, like Tati Westbrook kind of got shit on for their call out of James, but it turns out, you know, you kind of look back at that drama and like, maybe Tati was on to something because James kind of got outed for some really fucked up shit later on. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I kind of rambled there. My apologies.
We haven't heard back. It's been super frustrating. Hopefully it gets cleared up soon. And once it does, I'll be posting an update on community posts or maybe a video. In the meantime, consider donating to Project Sarsour, which is where the money will go. It's my friend Ahmed's project. He lives in Gaza and the money will go to help families there and a number of other projects. Anyways, so the first question you might have here is, what happened? Why did Ethan drop the lawsuit? And right now, I don't have a firm answer for that.
To be fair, the reason why Tati was getting dunked on so hard is because she was upset that James didn't support her gummies. That was something that was like a speculation that like that's the reason why she did what she did. And to be fair, there's probably some truth to that. But that was never like an official confirmation. That was never officially confirmed that was the reason she went at him. But yeah, I don't know. That stuff's like that drama's so old, and he's gotten outed for so much like more heinous shit since then that I don't even think that fucking matters anymore.
Ethan hasn't commented publicly and did not respond to my requests for comment, but now that it's been dropped...
Basically, for anybody who doesn't know, there were multiple accusations of grooming that came out with James Charles, where he had been outed for, sliding into the DMs of very young individuals and like hitting on them and stuff like that. That's kind of like what happened. So yeah, not great stuff to say the least. His defense was that, oh, I didn't know their age when I hit on them or stuff like that. But there's a lot of like, okay, maybe if that happens once, maybe twice, you can kind of give someone the benefit of the doubt. Okay, they were dumb. They didn't verify the age first. But with the number of accusations that have come out against James Charles, it's like, okay, at that point where there's smoke, there's fire,
With prejudice and with no confidentiality clauses, I'm able to talk openly about everything that happened, and I think by the end of the video we should have a little bit more of an idea as to how this all played out the way that it did. So first, a brief recap. In March of last year, I released this video, the YouTube...
This is the thumbnail I was talking about. Like, Ethan Klein's lawyer, when they filed the suit against Noah Samsen, tried to say that they manipulated an image of Ethan to make it look like he was doing a Nazi salute. And this is literally the thumbnail for Ethan's content nuke video against Hassan. Let me see if I could find that, because it's ridiculousness that he would even try to claim that that's what was happening here. Let me see. H3 content nuke Hassan. There it is. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. This is literally the thumbnail for his own content nuke. Chat. The only thing Noah Samsen did... Oh, God. Come on! What is going on? My computer's being dumb right now. Okay, whatever, dude. My computer's being really dumb. This is the thumbnail. So he literally just, like, photoshopped out the background of Ethan's own thumbnail and made it his own. That's all he did. So the claim that, like, he did, like, a Nazi salute, modified the image to make it look like he was doing a Nazi salute, it's just not true. Like, it's totally dishonest.
Who backed a genocide. It was a response to a video from Ethan Klein called Content Nuke Hassan Piker. In that video, I highlighted a bunch of statements.
Doesn't even look like a Nazi salute in Samsen's video. Well, it's kind of like the thing that's been happening lately where, like, ever since Elon Musk legitimately did a Nazi salute at a Trump rally, now we have people on the right, anytime anybody does like a gesture to their heart and like waves to a crowd, they try to make it out to be like a Nazi salute. And it's like, come on. All right, we get it. Somebody you like got called out for doing a genuine Nazi salute, so now you want to, try to, oh, well, your people do it too. No. Quit being dumb. Let's be real.
From several prominent content creators and used those statements to demonstrate the way
it looks like he's pointing at the rubble. And that's kind of the vibe that I got from the thumbnail, is that's what it's probably supposed to point out. It's talking about creators that, according to Noah Samsen, he believes that they supported a genocide. And so they're pointing to the aftermath of a genocide, right?
that the Western media apparatus has helped to normalize Israel's genocide in Gaza. Things like atrocity propaganda, misinformation about groups resisting Israel, and Zionist historical narratives. Ethan Klein responded to the video by immediately threatening to sue me for defamation. He issued a cease and desist and demanded that I take the video down and apologize, or else he would sue me. He dedicated a few episodes of his podcast to issuing these sorts of threats.
That's the crazy thing about, like, I don't understand how anybody watches Ethan anymore, because his whole podcast is just him fighting with people now. Like, anytime I'm not a regular viewer of the podcast anymore, but on the rare occasion, like maybe some topic is being discussed where I have a genuine interest, when I tune into the podcast, it's literally just him fighting with people all the time. Like, why would anybody want to watch a guy use his platform to just fight with people all the time? Where's the entertainment value in that? You know, maybe it's just because I'm not part of the drama sphere anymore that I don't see the entertainment value in that anymore. But, like, who finds this entertaining? This guy on this constant, unhinged meltdown of a crash out, just bitching, moaning, and complaining about people all the time. Where is the entertainment value in that?
He has to do.
The debate arc got to his head. I think it really did. Because for a while there, he had kind of regained viewership from me when he was going through the debates. You know, he had debated, you know, a lot of, like, transphobic people. Like, what's that blonde-haired girl that kind of, like, was popular for a while, and she was kind of like a right-wing sort of influencer. And then he also did the really good debate on fair use with XQC, and there were a bunch of debates that he did really well on. He also did, God, why am I having such a hard time remembering the names right now? The guy who had transitioned to a Korean, and now they're, like, very outspoken anti-trans. This is the problem with doing early morning streams, is my brain's not fully working yet. The coffee hasn't kicked in just yet. I'm sure somebody in chat knows who I'm talking about. But basically, he had done several... Ollie London, thank you so much, Dopamine. Ollie London. He had done several debates where he had done really well. And I think you're right, it kind of went to his head. And now, somehow, going from, like, a debate bro, sorta, to now, like, just always fighting with people on his platform. That's all the H3 podcast is now. Him just fighting with people.
To avoid getting sued is apologize for everything he said and did. He started his second video by saying, Ethan's threatened to sue me. It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you. Noah said in his second video, Ethan's threatening to sue me. Have fun with that, I guess. He said, well, I'm about to have fun with it. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be having much fun with it.
This is just literally like a rich guy using his wealth to silence his critics. And it's fucking gross. I genuinely don't know how anybody can support this. That was the biggest mindfuck to me, is watching commentary creators that I used to associate with, who were very outspoken against this kind of abuse of the legal system as a tool for censorship. And they were cheering this guy on, using his vast amounts of wealth to silence much smaller creators. Why are we celebrating and cheering this on? I don't understand. It didn't make any sense to me.
But I kept the video up after speaking with
Because the thing is, you know, maybe for them, oh, well, he's using his wealth to shit on people that I don't like. That's their perspective, right? Oh, I don't like these people, and he's using his wealth to shit on them, so fuck them. But the problem is, it creates this slippery slope where Ethan Klein, whether we'd like to admit it or not, is a very influential creator. So many things that he has done throughout the course of his career have influenced the entire creator space. So when you have a large, wealthy creator like that, using his wealth to silence critics, you're going to have other large creators who are going to look at that and say, hey, you know, Ethan Klein is kind of making it okay for us to silence our critics, you know, in the courts. Maybe I should do that too. And so today it might be Ethan Klein, you know, silencing people that you dislike, but tomorrow it could be you that someone's trying to silence, Or it could be your favorite creator that someone's trying to silence. We should not be celebrating or encouraging this kind of behavior because of the slippery slope that it creates.
Lawyers. I felt pretty confident that I'd be able to defend against a defamation suit, and I also believe that the cease and desist was just a scare tactic, as they're commonly used, to get me to delete my criticism from the internet. The deadline passed, and I didn't hear anything from Ethan, and it seemed like everything was good, but then a year later, 2 days before the statute of limitations was up, Ethan actually filed the lawsuit.
He literally waited 2 days before the statute of limitations was about to run out, and you know that that was malicious. The intent of that was, okay, let's make him wait an entire year, kind of build up his anxiety of wondering if he's going to get sued. And just before the statute of limitations end, just when he starts to experience a little bit of relief of like, oh, this lawsuit's not actually going to happen. Okay, thank heavens. Nope. Bam! Drop it on him right at the last minute. That was malicious. I'm sorry. That's the only way I could see it. That was malicious.
That I defamed him.
And gross. Fucking gross.
With 6 statements, including the title and thumbnail of my video and various other claims that I made. He was seeking unlimited damages and a jury trial. When you get served a defamation lawsuit, you have 30 days to respond or face default. So I spent the majority of my time the next few weeks looking everywhere to find a lawyer. Just to file a reply, I was being quoted upwards of $100,000, which is obviously pretty.
And that's the thing. These things are so expensive. You know, a lot of people, when they look at these situations, when they're an outsider looking in, they think, oh, you know, how much could a lawsuit be? They cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. And when you're a creator who doesn't have that kind of money in your bank account, like this has the ability to financially cripple you. Who remembers when Casey Tron was facing the copyright suit from Ethan Klein that he filed against her? She was talking about potentially losing her house, like being financially devastated. And what did Ethan Klein think about that? Ethan Klein didn't give a fuck. Why are people cheering that behavior on? They should not be doing that.
Stressful because I don't have that kind of money on hand. So I ended up doing a fundraiser, and I fundraised as much as I could.
These lawsuits have the ability to financially devastate people. Like ruin people's lives financially. This should not be cheered on.
Not quite to the goal, but over $100,000, which I thought was pretty good. But as the deadline approached and I started to get even more stressed out, I still hadn't found a lawyer. That's when I got in touch with Deborah Drews. Deborah Drews is an LA-based attorney who specializes in defamation law, and honestly, I owe her my life. She's an incredible lawyer, and from our first conversation, she showed genuine interest in this case. She was also willing to work at a major discount, which is what made it possible to donate most of this money that we raised. So anyways, I retained Deborah's counsel, of course, and we began working on our response. Our approach was going to be to file an...
You're making waffles? Yo, can you make me some? Make me some waffles? With strawberries and whipped cream on top? I'd love you very much for that.
Anti-SLAPP motion. The SLAPP in anti-SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, and the statute was designed to prevent powerful people from weaponizing their resources to silence dissent from critics that cannot sustain a long-term legal battle.
Which is exactly what Ethan is trying to do. And we know for a fact that this is what Ethan is trying to do, because when Ethan pursued iDubbbz, he admitted that that's what he was trying to do. Who remembers his comments on suing iDubbbz? One of the things he said that is he was suing iDubbbz in Canada, which is where iDubbbz resides now. He was choosing to sue iDubbbz in Canada because they don't have anti-SLAPP laws there. They don't have anti-SLAPP laws there. So unlike Noah Samsen here, who resides in California, and he has the option to file an anti-SLAPP to protect himself from somebody who's wealthy, using the legal system as a means to try and silence him, iDubbbz didn't have that option. And Ethan openly admitted that he was taking advantage of that legal loophole to get back at iDubbbz. So we know for a fact that Ethan is a malicious person with these lawsuits because he's admitted it himself publicly. It's disgusting.
Anti-SLAPP motion can dismiss frivolous lawsuits before they even go to trial and force the plaintiff, in this case it would be Ethan, to pay the defendant's legal fees. As our work on the case progressed, we started to feel like we'd put together a...
Well, international law is involved too with iDubbbz in Canada. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Ethan was trying to take advantage of legal loopholes of the laws being different where iDubbbz resides to basically use the legal system to try and bully him. He was taking advantage of that.
A pretty strong case. But then...
this is the... Chat, this part's crazy. So, Ethan's legal team sent a... basically a settlement offer to Noah Samsen. Now, before we get into this settlement offer, a lot of you guys saw what happened with the settlement with Casey Tron. The settlement with Casey Tron resulted in Casey Tron putting out a video apology to Ethan and like a lot of like saying positive things about Ethan. Can I just bring up that video? Can I find that video? We have to watch that video. Casey Tron Ethan apology video. Can we find that video? Casey Tron apology to Ethan.
Probably a shot.
No, this is a lost video. I don't want to give that guy a fucking view. I've got to be able to find this video somewhere. Casey Tron apology Ethan. Is this it?
I want to begin.
Okay, I found it, chat. Let me bring this up for you guys. We have to watch this right now because, like, this video was very obviously... Oh, where did it go? Let me see. Here we go. This video was very obviously, like, a written statement provided to her from Ethan Klein where she was forced to give this statement in order to basically, for the terms of the settlement.
By stating I take responsibility for...
A lot of people have referred to this video as the ISIS terrorist video. Kind of like a joke about how she was being forced, you know, to make this statement to save her own life financially.
Infringing the content nuke. The lawsuit was not frivolous. When I said the lawsuit was frivolous and based on misogyny, it was to garner sympathy.
You could even see her eyes reading the statement that she was asked to like read out.
Protect my own reputation and retaliate against the Kleins.
I get embarrassed that I ever watched him. I mean, I used to be back in the day during the H3 days when they used to do their skits and their commentary videos and stuff like that. I was a big H3 fan back then. I used to have H3 merch. I was very much into the whole Vape Nation thing. Like, I was a huge H3 fan. So I'm right there with you. I mean, for fuck's sakes, they invited me to do a video that was like an introduction to one of their live events. You can watch a video on their channel that is like a broadcast of one of their live events where I'm introing the event. Can you imagine how fucking embarrassed I feel seeing the person that he's become in recent years? It's insanity.
This lawsuit has given me a greater understanding of copyright protection, people's copyrights, and the importance of protecting copyrights in the online content creation community. It is important for the entire content creation community to respect the intellectual property rights of other creators, and I will adhere to the lessons I've learned throughout this.
So you get the point. This is kind of like what this was. At some point, he even like makes her say that, you know, Hassan never supported her and stuff like that. He makes her apologize to Asmongold for some fucking reason. Like, the whole thing's just really fucking gross. But the reason I wanted you to see that is because I want you to see... Because most people could look at that and say, okay, she was forced to say that as part of the settlement. There were some people who try to, no, this is a sincere apology by Casey and good for her, right? They were kind of delusional in the sense that, like, they didn't think that this was, like, part of the settlement or whatever. I'm sorry. If you actually believe that, you're just dumb. But if you ever, even for a second, doubted that what she did in that video was part of the terms of the settlement, look at this settlement offer they gave to Noah Samsen.
And go to trial and force the plaintiff, in this case it would be Ethan, to pay the defendant's legal fees. As our work on the case progressed, we started to feel like we'd put together a pretty strong case. But then, just a few days before the filing deadline, Ethan Klein reached out to us looking to open up settlement talks. Now at first, I was taken aback. Ethan sued me, made me pay a bunch of money, stressed out me and my family, and now he's coming to me to settle? No, we're not doing that. That's not happening, especially given how strong we felt our defense was. But Deborah, in her infinite wisdom and expertise, suggested that we didn't know what their terms would be. Maybe they really wanted out of the lawsuit, and maybe their offer would reflect this, and it could be good for us.
Yeah, when you're getting sued and somebody's offering like settlement terms, it's a good idea to at least look at the settlement terms, because again, lawsuits are expensive. So if the terms of the settlement are reasonable, it's a good idea to at least look at, what the terms are, and maybe it's something you agree to, and okay, I can do that, sure. So it's a good idea to at least look at them.
Settlement would end proceedings immediately. It would eliminate all risk, and it would free up the money that we'd raised to be donated right away. Depending on the specifics, that could be a pretty good deal. So we agreed to file an extension to start settlement talks. But nothing could have prepared me for what they came up with. In exchange for dropping his lawsuit, Ethan Klein wanted a public apology on my primary YouTube channel and Twitter account, pre-approved by Ethan, which would need to include a claim that he and his wife Hila have both supported the Palestinian cause. He also wanted me to remove 6 separate videos from my YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure it's all the videos I've ever talked about him in, which includes several videos that are unrelated to the claims made.
So regarding this whole, like, oh, you got to put this video on your YouTube channel, and in a tweet, it's a pre-approved, statement by the client, and it's gotta, it's gotta comply with these terms here. These statements have to be made. Does this sound familiar, chat? Does this sound like another settlement we saw another creator accept not long ago? So essentially, in a way, he tried to offer Noah Samsen the same settlement deal that he gave to Casey Tron. So if anybody even for a second had doubts that what Casey Tron said in her apology video wasn't part of like some approved statement as part of the settlement, now you know, because he offered essentially the same thing to Noah Samsen.
In the actual lawsuit. He also wanted a non-disparagement clause.
He wanted Noah Samsen to do one of these terror-style videos too,
which would bar me from ever publicly criticizing Ethan again. They did include a potential provision to reimburse my legal fees to be donated to a mutually agreed upon charity, so that's great, but only if my public apology included an acknowledgement that Ethan replenished these funds so that they can go to charity.
So he wanted them to say, oh, we're sorry that I'm sorry I did this video, and, Ethan doesn't actually support a genocide. Oh, and by the way, the fact that all my legal fees are going to charity, it's because of the goodness in Ethan's heart that that's happening. Yeah, that's what he tried to get Noah Samsen to say. That's ridiculous.
These terms were, let's just call them inadequate, hard for us to accept, so we made a counteroffer. No apology, no confidentiality, full reimbursement for all of our legal fees, no deleting any videos outside of the ones which were about the lawsuit, which we felt would become irrelevant if it was settled, and then one public statement which would read as follows. Ethan and I disagree about a video I made in response to his video Content Nuke Hassan Piker. He thinks my video says one thing, and I think it says another. Both of us believe that YouTube is a place for free expression, and recognize the right to criticize each other's views. So we've decided to end our dispute amicably. Keeping it out of court frees up funds to help families in Gaza right now. We sent these terms over and didn't hear back, so we prepared to file our anti-slap motion.
You didn't hear back because you didn't give him what he wanted. Ethan wants people to kiss his ass, beg for forgiveness. Please forgive me, Ethan. Please drop the lawsuit. I'll do anything you want. And when you refuse to give him what he wanted, he dug his heels in.
It was all ready to go. I was kind of excited. Honestly, Deborah cooked. But then a few days later, Ethan filed the motion to dismiss with prejudice. And that was it. So back to that question of like, what happened? Why'd he back out? Because he hasn't publicly commented and he didn't respond to my request for comment, we can really only speculate. Maybe he did have a change of heart. Maybe he doesn't want to be the one that hands out.
I don't think so. I think if he had a change of heart, he would apologize for the way he treated Casey Tron. I think if he had a change of heart, he would drop things as they currently stand with Frogan. I think if he had a change of heart, that he would announce that he's no longer going to appeal the decision against Denims. In addition to, dropping the lawsuit here with Noah Samsen, as well with iDubbbz that he had already done. But I don't think that that's the case. I think that Ethan Klein realizes he really dug a hole for himself and made himself look bad with all these litigious actions, and now he's just doing what he can to save what little face he has left. I think that's what's happening here.
Lawsuits left and right to silence critics. And maybe if he were to admit this publicly and apologize for wasting my time and money and acting like a freak throughout the whole process, then maybe I'd believe that. But until then, I think there are more likely explanations. See, Ethan
The reason he backed out is because he got bitch slapped by a judge and he realized he can't win this battle. But that's the thing. This wasn't a decision made by a judge. This was a decision Ethan and his attorneys made themselves. I mean, unless you're, referencing the denim suit, and he's like, hey, we lost the denim suit, so there's a good chance we'll lose this one too, so we might as well just drop it. I mean, I suppose that's possible, but I doubt it. Given his behavior, I strongly doubt it.
Stated publicly that his many lawsuits...
You were referring to the denim suit, got it.
...and smaller creators have damaged his reputation.
I don't want to be the fucking litigious asshole that's suing everybody. Like, I know what people...
See, this was a comment he was making during the iDubbbz thing. I think at this point, because he had gotten so much shit from everybody for doing the iDubbbz lawsuit, and that also brought to their attention all the other lawsuits he had. Even people who were big supporters of him, people who were like very big supporters of Ethan, like Nicholas Diorio, for example, even they were outspoken against the iDubbbz thing. So I think at that point, that's when he started to realize, hey, maybe this whole lawsuit thing is making me look really bad, and maybe I need to back off.
Think of me. I know what people say about me. I'm not a moron. I know like the consequences of doing all these lawsuits and stuff.
The biggest backlash so far came
I don't think he actually did know the consequences of doing all these lawsuits. I think he actually thought that he was the big man on campus, YouTube campus, and thought that he was going to get away with this shit and people were going to continue to like applaud him. And then when he realized, oh, there's actually creators that are very outspoken against this and don't approve of this kind of thing, that's when he was like, oh, fuck. I really messed up, didn't I?
Recently, when he was criticized by a prominent YouTuber, Charlie of the channel Penguin Zero, he criticized Ethan's lawsuits, and these videos got millions of views.
Ethan, of all people, should be very familiar with how...
I feel like after the denim suit, his lawyer sat him down and told him he's not going to win and end up with a frivolous suit charge. I don't know. His lawyer, based on some of the ridiculousness of the lawsuits that he's filed at this point, and even the dumb shit he wrote up in this lawsuit, this specific lawsuit against Noah Samsen, I think that his lawyer was like, I'm going to get one hell of a payday from this fucking guy, whether he wins or loses. So whatever he asks me to file for him, I'm just going to fucking file it. I don't think he has a very honest and trustworthy attorney. He might think he does. But I think he just has someone who's like, oh, you want to sue someone else? Pay up and I'll get right on it. I think he's got one of those lawyers that are like, kind of like an ambulance chaser type lawyer, where like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you want to sue someone? I'm getting paid whether you win or lose. So like, fuck it, let's do it.
Defamatory lawsuits can be...
If you file too many frivolous lawsuits, though, you will legit get in trouble and the lawyer could be disbarred if he keeps going along with it. I forget who I was watching, but somebody was going over that. And like in California, first of all, apparently all the lawsuits have to be filed in California. Apparently you have to do so many in like a certain amount of time. I don't remember if it was 5 failed lawsuits in a period of 7 years, or if it's 7 failed lawsuits in a period of 5. It's some like crazy, like actually pretty high number. And then also there was like a stipulation that you have to represent yourself. I don't know the specifics of it, but like somebody was saying it, I was like, how would anybody ever get fucked over for doing frivolous lawsuits then if those are the terms? I don't understand. That's why most people who file frivolous lawsuits end up with multiple lawyers most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but like... So one of these like legal YouTubers was talking about how frivolous lawsuit charges work, and it's actually insanely difficult to get a frivolous lawsuit charge against you, surprisingly.
Exploited by those with a lot of money. He was the guy that always fought on the right side of these kind of battles.
That's what I'm saying. He was literally like the dude that fought Matt Haas in a copyright suit that benefited the entire YouTube community when it came to fair use. He went from being the hero and champion of fair use to the fucking villain of fair use. Literally. What happened? He lost his way to such an insane degree.
And now in this case, I really think he's lost his way in that regard.
Ethan also just lost a lawsuit against the streamer Denims. He sued her for copyright infringement, and the ruling on this one was just...
Congrats to Denims. You know, I gotta say something. I actually tweeted this out. I think it was last night, or was it this morning? I don't know. Sometime recently. Back when I was part of the like YouTube sort of drama commentary sphere, I had drank the whole Hassan bad Kool-Aid so much that even when I left that sphere and joined the same leftist progressive spaces that Hassan occupies now, I still believed Hassan and his orbiters were like horrible fucking people. But the more I look at like the critics of Hassan and his orbit, and the more I like look at how dishonest some of these clips used against him are and stuff like that, the more I start to realize the whole Hassan bad thing is just fucking bullshit. He's not a perfect person by any stretch of the word. To be honest, nobody really is. And there's a lot of things that happen that like he does or opinions he gives that I don't agree with. But like this notion that he's like this evil fucking person that like people in the drama sphere make him out to be, it's just not the case. Like, he is not this horrible monster that people make him out to be. And neither are his orbiters. I think the only one that I would still kind of like be a little bit critical of is Mike from PA, because that dude's fucking unhinged. But aside from that guy, I feel like most of these people are fine. People like Frogan, people like Denims, people like Hassan. Yeah, they make statements and crazy, say crazy things that I don't always agree with. But having said that, like, they're not the horrible people make them out to be.
Brutal. The judge ruled against Ethan while citing his own previous case of defending against a frivolous copyright lawsuit. It wasn't until both of...
I mean, he did say U.S. soldiers deserve to die. I think you're mixing him up with that infamous clip of Frogan saying that like soldiers deserve to get PTSD or something like that, which I don't agree with that. I think, as somebody who deals with like my own mental health issues, and I know how difficult it is to deal with that, I wouldn't wish that sort of thing on anyone. So that's one of those examples of like, yeah, I disagree with that. But holy shit.
These events that Ethan began offering to drop his defamation lawsuits in exchange for an apology, of course.
I think it's interesting. So you said no, Hassan said on his stream that U.S. soldiers deserve to die by brave jihadist soldiers. That isn't exactly what he said, but I know what you're referring to. What I was going to say is I find it interesting that that's the part that you picked out that you personally take issue with, because of the fact that there was another part of that clip that more people took issue with, and it's the whole like America deserved 9/11 thing. That's the one that most people take serious issue with. But yeah, I know what you're referring to.
If Ian...
And again, I said that he's not a perfect guy, and I don't agree with everything he's ever said. But my point is that there's so many things that people say to try and make him out to be like this villain of the left. And after kind of seeing how a lot of these clips are like misrepresented and stuff like that, I don't feel that way anymore. I genuinely don't feel that way anymore.
issue a genuine apology, I'd probably think about dropping the lawsuit.
I take the issue with that part because my father was a U.S. Army veteran. He served in the U.S. Air Force. And I think it's valid for you to take issue with that, considering like your dad's history with the military and stuff like that. I think that's totally valid.
And honestly, the same
thing about the Frogan statement. If you had taken issue with what Frogan said, I think that's totally valid. Like, that's not something I would say. I have my own issues with the U.S. military and the way that they're used to commit heinous acts, in various parts of the world. But But I wouldn't go as far as to say that I think that people who serve in the military deserve to get PTSD or deserve to, get killed in mass or anything like that. I would never make a statement like that. I can have my criticisms of the U.S. military while at the same time not wishing horrible atrocities upon people who serve in the military.
Noah Samsen, if he just issued like a heartfelt apology, I'd probably consider dropping it.
And there's another part to this that I think is worth discussing, which is how Ethan's reputation has also taken hits due to his support for Israel. According to him, this perception has ruined some of his personal and professional relationships.
From a professional perspective, our entire lives are ruined. Collaborations, partners, business partners, employees, creators, friends.
If you look at the trends...
See, so it's starting to weigh on him. He's starting to realize that a lot of this stuff that he's engaging in is starting to harm his reputation. And so I think he's starting to backpedal like, hey, if we keep doing this stuff, this is going to basically send us to a point of no return. And so he's trying to save what little face he has left at this point.
Views and subscribers, there's been a demonstrable drop since October of 2023. Former fans of H3 are leaving and have spoken about the sort of rampant Zionism in that community. Apparently, even just wearing their merch now has an...
I saw this. I saw somebody share this on Twitter, literally walking on a beach in picture Teddy Fresh Classic color block hoodie. I was speechless. I think this is a little bit ridiculous, calling people Zionists just because they wear like a piece of clothing or something like that. That's not something that I would do. I think it's perfectly fine to be critical of people who support the actions being done by the state of Israel against the Palestinians. I think that's perfectly fine. But I think going around and harassing people because they wore a hoodie, I think that that's a little bit nuts.
Explicit association.
Thank you for the bits, by the way. I appreciate it.
With the state of Israel. At one point, Ethan may have thought that suing me for criticizing his statements about Israel could change this public perception.
I'd love to see you reason.
That seems to be a common thing with people who engage in these kind of lawsuits. They think that if they win the lawsuit, that's somehow magically going to change people's perception of them. Like, oh, the court decided that they were right, and so therefore we're wrong. And I suddenly like Ethan. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If anything, these kind of lawsuits just make people feel like you're an even bigger villain, whether you win or lose.
In a court document about how I and...
Sorry, I got distracted by a thirst trap. Who were you thirst trapping?
Mudahar support genocide. I really look forward to that.
But somewhere along the line,
who was the thirst trap, I should say.
To realize that this strategy wouldn't work. When he got the chance to prove me wrong in front of a judge, just like he wanted, he folded. He backed out at the last minute. So here we are. So anyways, super glad this is all over, ready to get back to making regular videos. I'll update everyone with a post as soon as I can about the GoFundMe situation once that's cleared up. I appreciate everyone who has supported me throughout this whole ordeal, including those who have contributed to the fundraiser and the many creators who were kind enough to join in on the fundraiser stream. That was super cool. And once again, huge shout out to my lawyer, Deborah Drew.
Tippy is a thirst trap? Oh my god. Thank you.
And her firm, Drew's Legal. She genuinely saved the day. If you have any legal troubles in the vein of this case, her firm may be interested down the line, so hit them up. Okay, that's it. We're done. Done talking about Ethan Klein.
Okay, well, congratulations to Noah Samsen. This lawsuit should have never happened. And anybody who was cheering on this lawsuit, I think that they should genuinely be ashamed of themselves, because we should not be cheering on this sort of thing. We should not be cheering on massive YouTubers with large amounts of wealth using their resources to try and silence people. We should not be cheering on this sort of thing, because as I mentioned before, maybe today it's being done to a creator that you dislike, but next time, if you're a creator yourself who's critical of others, next time it could be you, or it could be a creator who you enjoy. So don't contribute to that slippery slope by cheering people on for doing this kind of shit, because this should not be celebrated. This is not something that we should condone in this community.